All right, I am going to do something a little different with my bread machine. I'm going to make pizza dough. And as you can see, my little book that came with my recipe lets me to make a lot of things. And you can even make a focaccia or whatever that is. So for my pizza crust, I need a cup of water, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of oil, 3 cups of flour, and 2 teaspoons of yeast. So, let's do it. I feel like pizza tonight. And for any of you going, but you can't have pizza, you're poor. Oh, sure I can. Because almost all the ingredients that are going to make the crust came from the food pantry. I got a really good deal on this grated Parmesan cheese. It was under $3.70. Grated Parmesan cheese. Grated Parmesan cheese. And I'm going to use this cheese for the topping. And I'm going to make a steak and bacon pizza. And you're like, well, how did you afford steak? Well, a few weeks ago, I showed you a video on cutting up like 3 or 6 pounds of meat, and it had a sirloin in there. Well, I still have a little bit of that sirloin left. And I bought 3 pounds of bacon a few weeks ago, and I still have the bacon left. What I don't have is vegetables. I wish I had things like onions and peppers and jalapenos and things like that. I don't have any of that. But that's okay. I can still make pizza. So let's do that. This is why I always say, cut up and portion your meat. Cut up and portion your meat. Because I bought that sirloin weeks ago. And because I cut it up, I didn't eat it all in one sitting or in a couple of days, and now I have some for my pizza. So let's make this pizza. Or let's make this crust. In fact, let's clean this up. This is weird. I thought I cleaned this up. For some reason, there's little bits around my scale, and I'm not sure why. So I think it might be yeast, although I could have swore I cleaned all this up the other day. And I changed the batteries in my scale. Mine takes AAA batteries. I don't think I've ever said that before. And the letters were getting almost too dim for me to read. The other reason I'm going to start this dough, and I think this is a fabulous idea to make this tonight, is because I'm still working. So I need to start dinner, but I need to go back and work. So I'm going to start the crust. So I need 237 milliliters of water. And of course I didn't do any of this. So I need 237 milliliters of water. So let's see. Milliliters. 237 of milliliters of water. Did I get it perfect? 242, almost. All right, I got 242 milliliters of water, which is fine. We want to add, I believe the salt goes in next, 5 milliliters of salt. Oh, that was stupid. I meant to tare it, and I ended up switching the unit. Milliliters and grams, I have not noticed a difference in how it's weighed. But 5 milliliters of salt. Or 7, or 6. 15 milliliters of oil. And I bought some olive oil a bit back, so I'll use that. Oh, I wish I'd stop hitting unit instead of tare. Or, yeah. All right, so I need 15 milliliters, and I'm going to use olive oil. This says butter. I prefer oil. Although you can make a butter crust. 16 milliliters of oil. And I bought this from the local grocery a bit back. And I've been using quite a bit of it. There's only a little bit left. 3 cups of bread flour. And it's saying 710 milliliters of bread flour. That is wrong. What somebody did, they went through and converted cups to milliliters using an online scale or an online converter, and it is wrong. So always read your flour, because 1/4 cup is 30 grams. So 1 cup is 120, and 3 cups would be 360. So we're going to do 360 milliliters, and I'll just start by emptying out the rest of that bag, which is 54 milliliters. And now I need 400 more milliliters. I'll just do 472. Well, sometimes I get just a little overzealous. Alrighty, so then we need 10 milliliters of yeast. So I'm going to tare it and go get my yeast. And I would say one of the best things you can do for yourself if you're short on money, save your money and try and get some of these baking ingredients like the yeast and the flour and sugar and things like that, because you can really do a lot with it. 10 milliliters of yeast. I'm gonna later on down. I got some of this imitation vanilla, and I got some stuff coming from the food pantry that's gonna allow me to make some applesauce cake. And that's food. When you're poor, everything is a meal. People always complain, oh, well, they're buying chips and cookies and candy bars. Well, everything is budgeted into the meal plan. And sometimes the cheapest thing to eat are the chips and candy bars, especially if you can get them for some of the deals that I've gotten some of that stuff for. All right. So that's everything that goes into the pizza crust. And now I come back and I see where the dough is. My bread machine has a dough setting, and it's number 8. And it will make dough for me without cooking the dough. So let's do that. And I've already plugged in the machine. I'm going to do some superficial wiping down. The last thing I made in here was bread, and it was just a few days ago that I did that, but I'm just going to do a little bit of wiping it down. Just a little bit. The bread machine can get a little dusty from the mixing of the flour. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm just making pizza dough tonight. Oh, but wait, I forgot something. Onion powder and garlic powder. I can make my own homemade onion garlic crust, and I'm going to do it. Put in the onion powder and a little garlic powder. And now I need setting number 8. Setting number 8. So that I think was 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's going to be too dry, I can already tell. Still too dry. That's perfect. So I'm going to let this mix and rise and mix and rise. It'll be done in about an hour and a half. I will show you. 1 hour and a half. So in an hour and a half, we'll come back and see how my dough did. All right, it is time to start putting the pizza together. The dough is done. Actually, it's been done. But I had to finish up a project. And that is now also done. Okay, clean this up. Oh, and if you're wondering, right at the last possible moment, I remembered that yeast has to have sugar. The recipe I was working from did not mention to put in any sugar. So I put some in. Alright, so let me show you the dough. It is right here. That's quite a bit of pizza dough. But before I can do something about that pizza dough, I need to do something about the Alright, and this is non-stick foil, which is great for this, but I'm going to add just a little bit of extra oil, just a hair. When you're doing a toaster oven, you don't want to do a lot of oil because toaster ovens have a tendency to catch on fire. And you want to make sure your hands are clean. So this, spread the oil out over the already non-stick foil. But we want to make sure it's extra non-sticky. So there we go. You can use butter for this too. This is going to be fun. Once again, I forgot to take my jewelry off. And I don't want any lint on my pizza dough, so that's why I'm using the paper towels. Alright, so let me take off my jewelry so that I can dig into this dough. And here it is. I just had the bread machine make this dough, and it looks excellent. It's absolutely excellent, although there is way too much of it. So I am going to cut it in half with just my hand. I'm just going to pull it in half. And it is a bit sticky. So I want to press this out on my pan. It's going to be extra thick dough. Alrighty, looks good to me. And this is going to go in the toaster oven for 10 minutes. What I want to do is toast the dough up so that it does not become a soggy mess when I add the sauce. Alright, so let me just go over here, and there it is. It's going to put it in for 10 minutes to crisp up that dough, or bake it a little bit so that it doesn't turn mushy when I add the sauce. So the only Ziploc sacks I have left are snack sacks, and they're not big enough to handle this dough ball that I've got left. So I'm going to have to get out my bag. And put this dough ball in the bag. And then you have to stick these in the freezer. If you stick it in the refrigerator, it'll continue to rise. So, that's that. Now, I've already cooked my bacon and beef. And it is right here. So what I want to do is cut the beef up into little bitty pieces. And you don't need a lot of beef or bacon, especially if you're making like the personal sized pizza like I'm doing right now. So I just want to cut these up into little bitty bits. And this is the same sirloin that I bought early in about the middle of November. Actually, I think it was the 16th. If I remember, I'll link that video to this one so you can see when I bought the beef. The beeping is that my toaster oven is done preheating. You can break these apart too. Alright, I've got to do some other things before I finish this up. So I'm going to stick this in the fridge as it is. And go do some other things. I gotta wait for that pizza crust to cook anyway. So you can use anything on your pizza. You can use pizza sauce that you bought at the store. You can use regular tomato sauce. You can use spaghetti sauce, which is what I have here. So I'm just going to open this spaghetti sauce. Smells good. It's just vegetable spaghetti sauce. You don't need anything, fancy. You're just looking for a tomato-based sauce, or really, you don't even have to use tomato-based sauces anymore. You could use barbecue sauce, nacho cheese. I've seen pizzas with nacho cheese on them. Generally, they're the Mexican ones. I've seen pizzas with ranch dressing instead of tomato sauce. If you can afford ranch dressing. I love ranch dressing, but it has gotten so expensive lately. So I'm going to just put some of this spaghetti sauce on this pizza dough. And the fun thing about spaghetti sauce is that it tends to be a little bit chunky. So if you like chunky pizza dough, it tends to work. The other thing about making your own pizza is that you can put as much sauce on it as you want. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, that's too much sauce. I love sauce. So let's take a look at my sauce. And if you want spices, which I love spices, the other good thing about making your own pizza, if you want to spice it, spice it. These are red pepper flakes, of course. If you don't like a lot of spice, don't use red pepper flakes. Here's some garlic powder. And here's some onion powder. I need to get more onion powder. There you go. And especially if you use tomato sauce, you want to spice your sauce after you put it on your dough. And here's my meats. They've been chilling out in the fridge. So I've got beef and bacon is what this pizza is. It's hard to get everything off the bottom of the pan at this point because all the grease has congealed. But that is everything. All right. And I've just realized that I have pretty much committed myself to eating that jar of pasta sauce for the rest of the week. I do not have anything I can put this sauce in and freeze it. So I'm going to be having a lot of spaghetti sauce this week. I could make more pizza. Alright, so I need my cheese. And if you wonder why I'm using this, if you buy a pizza kit, this is what's in the pizza kit. Just grated Parmesan cheese. And, when you're broke, this stuff does not have to be fancy. If all you can afford, or all you have, is some of this cheap grated Parmesan cheese, there's nothing saying you can't make a pizza out of it. And here's the deal. You can use as much as you like. So there you go. I have made my pizza. There's my beef and bacon pizza. And I'm going to stick it in the toaster oven and toast it. Stick it in the toaster oven and bake it for about 20 minutes. And here it is in the toaster oven. All right, I'm going to be back in 20 minutes. All right, my pizza is done. Looks good to me. It's red because the sauce is underneath and this cheese isn't going to melt right. So yeah, looks good to me. I'm going to eat this. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.